Private Tuck is a funny little codger with a smile, a funny smile.
Hi everybody, I'm the Certified History Nerd, and today I'm going to be talking about the firearms of a sergeant in Vietnam. Eventually I'll be able to do firearms of a sergeant in World War One, and just know, and eventually I can also do a World War II one. However, for me, being a sergeant in World War II, I'm actually a medic, so but I could actually switch that out. Okay, sorry. Anyways, so basically for a sergeant in Vietnam, and just a sergeant in general, ever since World War One, your firearm is going to be your standard issue rifle and a sidearm. However, those changed. That's why I want to do the different wars, and this one is Vietnam. So, starting off with the main rifle, we have the M16A1. This is an early variant with the three-prong flash protector. It has a triangular grip. This is America's first assault rifle. It has 20-round magazines. It has a lovely handle on top. Sights, rear sight is here, front sight up here. We have a pistol grip and a stock. This is also the first standard issue rifle we issued that has no wood on it, which is also really cool. We have the charging handle. We have fire select, and here would be your quick bolt release. However, mine broke off, so. We have a green cotton sling, OD green, used for the M1 Grant in late World War II in Korea. You also used for the M14, and then eventually used for the M16A1, and A2s, and A3s, and A4s, and yeah. However, we don't use this sling anymore for the M4, I don't believe. It's a pretty fast fire rate. I don't know the actual fire rate of the M16, however, I do know these started to be issued in 1965. The early versions, like the actual M16 and the AR-15, I think it is, or the M15, not the M15, the AR-15, which this was based off of, those had problems, and that's where you get your stories of the M16 is a bad gun because it has a bunch of malfunctions and all that. However, once you get to the refined M16A1, it's a hell of a lot better gun, more reliable, works better, doesn't break as much. Of course, later, mid and late war, they got what was known as the bird cage muzzle protector, flash protector, which is still used on the M4 today. So that one is quite common. However, this was the three-prong one was actually your most common bird cage was seen. However, not your most common until later in the war. However, early and mid, for all of the 60s, you're going to see the three-prong. Once you get into the 70s, it gets a little different. So yeah, for the M16A1, what you would be issued is these short magazines for the 1911, or not 1911, I just screwed that up. These short magazines for the 20-round magazines for the M16. It can carry 3 of them, and that can also have grenades attached to the sides, and they go in the front of your belt. And you, of course, you get 2 of them. What could also be issued is a bandolier. However, I do not have one because originals are expensive and replicas don't look as good. Even then, I don't really want a bandolier. So, yeah. You could also carry ammunition in your big pockets down here or your pockets here if you wanted to. But yeah, so M56 magazines shortened from the M14 ones. Now, of course, there is also the chance of the M14 being the standard rifle of a sergeant. That's more likely to be in 1965, especially for the Army. However, for Marines, you could go into the mid-war. And even for the Army, you could also go into the mid-war. and claim the M14 would still be used, which it would be. Moving on to the sidearm, we have the 1911 A1. This is an airsoft gun. Both of these are. So the A1, compared to the original 1911s that were issued in World War I, this would be the one issued in World War II and Korea and Vietnam until the replacement with the Beretta. So the difference is it has a shorter trigger than the originals. This right here, which your thumb will push, which is basically your safety, because the gun cannot fire unless you press that. Your actual safety is up here, so flip that, and the gun cannot fire. You can't rack the bolt or anything. Here's your hammer, and then it has, I think it's 8-round magazines. Oh, I forgot to mention, that shoots 5.56 rifle rounds, and this shoots 45 ACP. And I believe they're actually 7-round magazines. I don't think they're 8-round magazines. I can't remember fully, though. So we have your rear sight, front sight, ejection port. Forgot to mention ejection ports on the other side of this one. Right here, that's the flap. There's also your mag release. Yeah, sorry. And trigger. We have the trigger guard here with the trigger itself. What this would be used for is when the bolt gets fired back for the last time, this will flip up and catch the bolt. It also can be used to disassemble the gun, which is what these holes right here are for. With mag release, simple button right here. And there is this ring right here for a attachment cord. And the early World War I magazines also would have those as well, which I don't understand, but yeah. The 1911 was your standard issue weapon. However, a lot of soldiers would get guns from home, mostly pistols. However, same thing with shotguns. A lot of soldiers would get shotguns from home as well. To transport your 1911 or just your sidearm in general, you would have a holster. This is an original Vietnam 1911 holster. It's blackened instead of the brown ones, and in the back it is starting to rip, which I don't like, and I don't know if I can fix that, but I think it should last me a good while. And for ammunition, you have a 1911, the M56 version of the 1911 ammunition pouch, because it has the black clips just like the rest of the equipment, and it will have 2 magazines of for the 1911. And I think I mentioned, but this can hold 3. I think I did mention that, but yeah. So that's your firearms. However, for rifles, you could substitute that with an M14. And for for the sidearm, it could be basically anything. You could have a homemade, a gun sent from home, like a you could have a Colt 1917. You could have a 22. You could have a Luger. I mean, whatever you have at home. If your family wanted to send it to you in the mail and you wanted your gun from home, which I wouldn't suggest, then yeah, you can have that as well. So basically whatever gun works, just as long as it's not a modern gun that didn't exist in the 60s or before, you're good. Now, 1911, however, was the most common. It was military issue, and yeah, this is just your more common sidearm to see. It's also more iconic, very reliable, good semi-auto pistol. So, I mean, I wouldn't switch it. You could get a revolver if you want from home, but I wouldn't. And I typically wouldn't do a gun from home because, I mean, a brand spanking new 1911, I mean, who wouldn't pass that up? And you could trade it if you want, like my uncle's dad did. When he was in Vietnam, he traded his 1911 for a Thompson, World War II variant Thompson A1, I think it was. So, I mean, yeah, heck, fire, you don't even need your 1911. You could have traded it for something. You could have traded it for the shotgun, for Christ's sake. I don't know. Depends on what people wanted. But, yep, those are your standard firearms of the sergeant. Of course, or not just sergeant, but, staff sergeant, NCO, officer even. Those are your firearms. Of course, for standard riflemen, just take away the sidearm, and there you go. But yeah, those are the firearms of the NCO for Vietnam. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
5 feet none, he's an awful little dodger with a smile.